In the world of sports, where skills and dedication should be the most important factors, and where we expect fairness and equal treatment regardless of a person's skin color, a regrettable truth emerges: black athletes continue to confront racism, even in the face of significant success. In 1997, Roberto Carlos experienced racial abuse during his first Clásico match for Real Madrid against Barcelona. Barcelona fans subjected him to offensive monkey chants every time he touched the ball, displayed racist banners, and even defaced his car with the word "monkey" as a hurtful surprise for him to discover later. Shockingly, no charges or penalties were imposed for these actions. Even after Carlos publicly denounced the abuse, he received no professional support during this distressing period. Pep Guardiola, who was a defensive midfielder for Barcelona at the time, took the side of the Barcelona fans. He remarked that Carlos talked too much, didn't understand their fans, and hadn't been with the team long enough to justify his complaints. 2 decades have passed since that incident, and one might hope that progress has been made in combating racism in sports. We might wish that black footballers could pursue their careers in one of the world's biggest leagues, without encountering the distressing obstacle course of racism. However, recent events demonstrate that society has not made as much progress in the fight against racism as we might have hoped. Black footballers, who inspire millions with their talent and dedication, continue to endure abhorrent racial abuse both on and off the field. Vinicius Jr., a talented Brazilian forward who plays for Real Madrid, is one such player who has faced the harsh realities of racial abuse. Despite his remarkable skills and infectious enthusiasm, Vinicius Jr. has been targeted with hurtful insults, taunts, and discriminatory treatment due to his race. The abuse began during a match at Mallorca's Sun Moix Stadium in early 2023, where monkey chants were directed at him. It continued with shouts during a moment of silence for the Turkey and Syria earthquake victims, and even escalated to an effigy of him being hung from a motorway bridge near Real's training ground in January. The most recent incident occurred during Real Madrid's match against Valencia in May 2023. This mistreatment has sadly become a routine experience for Vinicius Jr., as he endures these horrors weekend after weekend. Although each incident is covered by the media, there seems to be a lack of understanding regarding the larger issue or insufficient outrage to drive meaningful change. There isn't enough anger, urgency, or introspection to address the problem adequately. What's truly alarming is that one of the world's finest footballers is subjected to this ordeal week after week, hunted and tormented for the amusement of those who simply cannot accept his black skin. It's essential to ask who bears the responsibility for addressing this issue and why more severe penalties such as point deductions, fan bans, or substantial fines aren't imposed. Football authorities, such as the Spanish Football Association, Spanish FA, have launched investigations but handed out relatively mild punishments that fail to address the root of the problem. In Spain and other European countries, the issue of racism in football continues to escalate despite efforts to combat it. Sadly, many still hold the misguided belief that racist abuse is somehow tolerable, or less serious when it occurs in the context of a sporting event. This disturbing attitude was evident during a match between Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid in September. Atletico fans were captured on camera hurling racial insults, such as calling Vinicius a monkey, toward the Real Madrid player. Surprisingly, the prosecutor's office in Madrid chose not to file charges. Their rationale was that the disrespectful chanting, although brief, should be viewed as part of the intense rivalry between the clubs. This response is deeply concerning as it reveals a lack of comprehension and concern for the impact of racism. It suggests that racist abuse can be excused or trivialized when it occurs in a sports context. Some even argue that opposing fans engage in such behavior to gain a competitive advantage by trying to provoke a reaction from the targeted player, in this case, Vinicius Jr., who occasionally responds to these provocations. To make matters worse, some claim that Vinicius Jr. somehow invites these racist attacks through his on-field antics, including showboating and celebratory dances. This viewpoint is both uninformed and offensive. It implies that the victim of racism bears responsibility for the abuse they endure, unjustly blaming them for the actions of others. These attitudes and excuses surrounding racism in Spanish football need to be confronted. The fact that La Liga, the governing body of Spanish football, argues that it lacks the authority to impose sporting sanctions and instead defers all cases to the justice system is alarming. It suggests a lack of commitment to effectively address the issue. Racist abuse should never be justified or minimized, regardless of the context in which it occurs. It is a deeply harmful and dehumanizing form of discrimination that has no place in any society, let alone in sports. While Atletico Madrid did condemn the actions of their fans, their response came with a condition emphasizing the responsibility of everyone involved in ensuring harmonious relations between the two clubs. However, media coverage often focuses on Vinicius Jr.'s actions as if they are equivalent to the abuse he receives. This approach reduces him to a mere subject of debate on talk shows, diminishing his essential humanity. This situation exemplifies gaslighting, where victims of racism are not only subjected to abuse, but also made to feel complicit in their own mistreatment. Week after week, stakeholders in football express their concerns and insist that something must be done to combat racism. Yet, Vinicius Jr. continues to play amidst a chorus of boos, whistles, and even more sinister forms of abuse. Racism has always unfairly selected its targets, and to some extent, one might expect that Vinicius Jr.'s talent, fame, and wealth would provide him with a certain level of protection. However, his treatment raises a pressing question: if football cannot protect a player like Vinicius Jr., what chance does it have in safeguarding the well-being of any other individual? One of the most chilling instances of racism occurred in the last games of the 2022-23 La Liga season in May 2023. During a league match against Valencia at Mestalla, Vinicius Jr. faced racial abuse from Valencia supporters, leading to significant controversy and the eventual identification and permanent banning of 2 fans involved. This incident ignited a broader conversation on racism within La Liga, with Vinicius Jr. publicly condemning the league for what he perceived as the normalization of racism and advocating for stricter measures and penalties to combat racist behavior. Vinicius Jr. is not the only black player subjected to racial slurs and jeers from the stands. Other athletes, such as Raheem Sterling, Lewis Hamilton, and Serena Williams, have faced racism throughout their careers, both on and off the field. The impact of racism on the mental health of black athletes cannot be overstated. The constant abuse they endure takes a toll on their emotional well-being, crushing their self-confidence and love for the game. To truly address racism in sports, we must collectively work for change. It begins with educating ourselves and raising awareness about the damaging effects of racism on black athletes. Sporting organizations and clubs must implement strict policies against racism, ensuring severe consequences for anyone found guilty of racial abuse. Additionally, fans and spectators must actively denounce racism and report incidents to create a safer environment for all players. Together, let us build a future where the color of one's skin never hinders success or respect in the world of sports. As always, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to stay informed of our eye-opening black narrative. Thanks for watching.